So I'm going to speak about the foundational components of artificial intelligence, which we have taken as intuition and intelligence, which essentially prepare us for the future of the world and how technology is going to evolve from here onwards. So intuition somehow historically has been at the base of any invention, any innovation, and over the years, since the time humanity has evolved, intuition has formed a very important part of how we progress. So basically, I believe that intuition and intelligence, they are not competitive. They essentially complementing each other, and they work in a particular pattern, and that pattern has been the basis of artificial intelligence, which has been occupying most of our thought processes these days. Here, I would like to quote from my personal example that how intuition helps in police work. So police basically acts more like a machine, and he was operating from all over the world under different names and from different places. And he had mastered certain part of technology, which was like if he makes a call to somebody, essentially for extortion, so his calls would be appearing as if he's coming from a particular country, and the very next moment he calls somebody else, then this call would appear as if it's coming from another very far away country, so which is called bouncing of calls. So I was tasked to nab this person because he was also active in Karnataka, like in many other states, essentially primarily in Mumbai. And so here, nobody had seen him for many years, and he was operating with impunity. Government of India considered him almost a national threat, and there was hardly anyone left out of his net. So this man, the only variable which you can say was known to the police was these 4 pictures. And beyond that, and after that, nobody had seen him since 1994. So of course, while going around chasing him, with the help of technology and telecommunication technology, I finally zeroed on him in Senegal, a West African country, and now I was faced with a challenge as to a particular man whom I had identified likely to be the person whom I was looking for would exactly be the same person or not. So it's a question of my own professional skills and my training and my skills, and whether I would be able to get him, or suppose he turns out to be a different person. So imagine what I depend upon. I depend upon my intuition, which was purely, in a way you can say it was incidental. And when I actually sent a go-ahead to Senegal police to apprehend him, I was also afraid. But later it was confirmed that he was the man I was looking for. So here, with all the technology available, with all the intelligence available, with all the facts that whatever was there to know being available, still what came to my rescue was the intuition. So this is how intuition and intelligence complement each other in any profession, in any part of life, in any activity. So here, what exactly is intuition? So when we define intuition, we essentially say that it's some kind of a gut feeling. It's some kind of inflective thought which has no logical reasoning or logical basis, and you cannot connect the logical facts around this. It just happens, it just occurs to you. And then we see that most of the great thoughts occur the same way. I recall reading somewhere that the great Indian mathematician Ramanujan, when he went to study in the best university of his time, Cambridge University, and there he's attending a class and the professor gives some problem and he solves it. He was the only one who solved it. When professor asked him that, how did you solve it? Then his answer was that, I don't know, but I got intuition. It was purely intuitive. And he also narrated it to the blessings of the goddess of his place, Namakkal, goddess Namakkal, and said that he got intuition and inspiration from the goddess and he solved it. So there again we see that intuition played a very important role. When we think of gravity, so Newton, while seeing an apple falling, as is traditionally propagated and believed to be so, he didn't have any variables which were designated variables or fixed variables, or he didn't have the set of informations that he could have related to falling of apple to gravity. But he did think of something which was primarily intuition. And then, with the help of his intellect, his intelligence, and his ability to create his own variables, or intellect to relate his own variables, he gave us a field of mathematics which we know as calculus, and with the help of calculus, that is the intelligent part, with the help of calculus and intuition, he connected them together, and what we have is the theory of gravity. So intuition essentially works at subconscious level and it just happens to you. And whereas intelligence, which is basically a part of logical thinking, you can relate the variables with each other and then you can connect them to get some useful results. So that is how we look at intelligence, and which is, in terms of AI, we can say that it is a few mathematical models which we call algorithms. So when we think of AI, we find that there is some kind of machine is there and humanity is there. And now humanity, which is so used to intuitive inspirations and intuitive knowledge, and it has to connect with the machine, then how it happens, how it connects, the machine and the humanity. Here again, the intuition and the intelligence, they play a very critical role. And then when we have a complementarity of the intuition with intelligence, then we get what we call the artificial intelligence. There are a few characteristics where, of course, we know that machines are supposed to obey commands, it has to process commands, it has to process certain variables within its own system, and it has to give us the results that we desire it to give. And in terms of artificial intelligence, we see a particular situation where when we want machine to replicate the human intelligence, or when we want machine to be better than the human intelligence, then we find that lot of variables that which is put in the machines to decipher, they are incomprehensible. It's a fuzzy set. It's a plenty of data available, lot of data available, and they have to be put in a particular order. So here when we start with the hypothesis of intuition, and then we try to put them in a certain order, in a particular manner to get some results, then we see that we have to develop patterns and we have to provide the machine with certain data where machine is able to see the pattern and gives us the what we call the artificial intelligence in due course. Here, when we talk of designated variables, we know that it is a lot more easier to define them to put the interconnectivity, to bring them together, and to get some desirable interpretations of those variables that we have. This is when we have limited number of variables, we can put them together and get some desirable results. But when we have this kind of undesignated variable set, where we do not know how they are connected, how they relate to each other, when they are too much voluminous, then we have this situation where these undesignated variables has to be put through certain process to get some, to put them in an order and in a pattern where we are able to get some useful results out of that. So here, once again coming back to intuition, we see that it is how intuition arises in us. So we see that as humanity has evolved over the years, then there are certain innate things, certain inner things which is coming from within, which is very much when we have to put them in the language of machines, then how do we transfer these intuition into an intelligent system? And so when we deal with undesignated variables in the sense of artificial intelligence, this have to be put through certain architecture. And this is the architecture I have used here, Zachman Framework Enterprise Architecture, which puts these undesignated variables have to be put to certain treatment, and this treatment is here done through enterprise architecture, where we put the strategy, the design, the technology, and the operations in a particular pattern. And when they are put through that treatment, then we can convert these undesignated variables into certain order here, where we can identify them into designated variables and then put them through the algorithmic mathematical models to get our desirable results. So this is one intuition intelligence architecture, and when this is done repeatedly in a nature of so it kind of gives us a cyclical nature of complementarity, where intuition and intelligence, they interact with each other, and then we keep on getting the results by what we call the training of the model. And this is a cyclical in nature. So intuition to intelligence, then whatever intelligence we have got, from there again back to the intuition, and then this cycle continues till we get the desirable results in terms of whatever we want. And this refers to the training of the model. Here, of course, we have challenges. These challenges are basically that you need a lot of data for training. So whenever we train for large language models or what is called ImageNet, so these kind of things, they require lot of information. The data is humongous, the server capacity has to be massive, and this has to be, the process has to go on. So it's a time-taking process, and it takes a lot of time to kind of reach a certain desirable level of your the output that you want from the machine to give. And this keeps on happening over a long period of time, and continuous training and different sets of mathematical models that you have to put to exercise to get a result, and then gradually you start getting what you want to get. So what we call that singularity of machine and humanity. So where what a person thinks like a human being, then that conviction that a machine can be made to produce the similar results as a human mind thinks, and that is where the singularity, that is the ultimate goal of artificial intelligence, to reach, and that is where we say that yes, machine is able to give us whatever we want. And that is how LLMs have been developed, that is how ImageNet has been developed, and of course the latest development that is in the field of 3D modeling. So the next stage is 3D modeling, where we are able to see things by being almost like an immersive technology, and being part of that immersive technology, we believe that we are going to achieve a much higher goals in terms of solving a lot of human problems, especially in the field of medical and drug treatments, and so many other in the field of design and architecture and things like that. But at the same time, there is a feeling that there are few challenges that with the feeling that where the machines are going to replace the jobs, or where machines are going to overtake us, or whether the machines would be, they pick up a structure where the algorithms are, they learn from algorithms, and then they learn certain things which even without human intervention, they are able to generate on their own certain algorithms, which, like what happens in our brain, we do not know. The same way, we would not know what is happening inside the machine also. So there are fears around artificial intelligence, but at the same time, there is also a conviction and a belief or a faith that if we treat the variables, even if they are unknown variables, through a mathematical modeling, derive them into some kind of designated variables, and then try to get the objective that we have set for ourselves. But if we do it in a very controlled manner, if we do it in a manner that we know what we are doing, because human person is at the center of whatever actions are happening until it has happened. So until that point, the scientists or the engineers, they have the control over the system, and they have to design it in such a way that they don't allow the machines to learn by itself in a manner that it goes haywire, or it starts thinking and picks up the wrong structure or wrong architecture or a wrong combination of factors which will be harmful to the humanity. So that is one idea which is still being discussed about, and there is some concern about that by great scientists, particularly Jeffrey Hinton mentions about it, that when one of his interview, he was asked that whether machines are going to overtake humans and whether it will be good or bad for humanity. So he has expressed a concern that a time would come when the creation of humanity will overtake humanity. And this is a concern from his perspective, and he is, of course, the most knowledgeable person in the area. Then it has to be taken seriously. And at the same time, when he was asked that how we can protect ourselves against artificial intelligence overtaking humanity and putting humanity in the harm's way, then he suggested that a very beautiful example he gives, where he suggests that humanity has to think like a mother. So that means that sometimes a child overtakes mother, because whatever child cries, then the mother loses control and then she attends to the child, even though a child is less intelligent person than the mother. But when you are driven by a motherly instinct, then you know when to control the child. So a similar situation has to be applied to the field of artificial intelligence while we are designing the system, or while we are preparing the algorithms in such a manner that it does not overtake humanity, which is really difficult to predict and difficult to say at this moment, that whether Actually, a situation will arrive when machines would start thinking for themselves and they'll overtake the human intelligence. That needs to be seen. And there is another scientist, Fei Li. She has also expressed her concern that humanity is a part where the intelligence, that is artificial intelligence, has to be molded and guided in such a manner that it should remain human. It should, which is the purpose of creating a scientific innovation or making a science take leaps. It must ensure that the humanity remains at the center of whatever action that we take. And this is how it is. And of course, there are concerns that when machines become too intelligent, it also starts giving us benefits. And sometimes the benefits start motivating certain business interests, which has been mentioned also, and they think that if such a massive amount of investment which is taking place in the field of artificial intelligence, which many are unable to explain at the moment, that why so much of money is going into an area, how they are going to recover this money when they are investing into artificial intelligence. So what would be the ROI and things like that, then it gives a little concerning scenario, and it feels that whether some business houses or business people or some entrepreneurs, they are pursuing the enterprise to essentially control all the data sets of the world, and whether they are going to charge for it in due course of time. Otherwise, why would they invest trillions of dollars into just one field of knowledge, which is artificial intelligence? But nevertheless, given this kind of constraints and this kind of challenging scenarios which are likely to arise, nevertheless, the field of knowledge remains very promising, and field of knowledge remains the need of the hour, and it's a kind of a civilizational innovation which is required for the good of humanity, because humanity has issues where it is looking for something which is, if a human being has to think and he has to perform certain tasks, then he's limited by his mental abilities and capabilities and resources, whereas the machine can do a similar act in many-fold more and give us the results by assimilating millions of data, which is not humanly possible. So the beauty of machines, of its capacity to store, capacity to process millions of variables, and comprehend situations as it is prepared to comprehend, then what we get is many times more than what human beings can even collectively put together, can think of and give us the results, especially in the area of medical science, in the area of drug manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, or in the area of language, as we have seen in large language model, we have seen in ChatGPT, we have seen in OpenAI, so many new, more than 30, 40 artificial intelligence models that we had before us have been helping in some way or the other. There is another concern that when machines become too intelligent and it makes the humanity dependent upon machine rather than its own creativity, then how it would affect the progress of human civilization and how the society and humanity will be impacted. So, well, these are very large questions, and but this does not preempt the commitment to the field of knowledge, that is artificial intelligence, and our dependence on, how we should keep harnessing the quality, the value of intuition, matching it with the intelligence, and then try and get a system that is for the good of all of us. So thank you very much.